Hi, welcome to the community meeting. I'm Professor Weishaus, for those of you who don't know me. I retired in August, but I always was involved with the community meetings for many years. And Dan, our student government president, and Sean Livingston invited me down for today just to say hello to all of you and help out just for today. So nice to see so many of you. Thank you for all the wonderful years that I had here and the many friendships that are in this room. Love you all. And thank you. And I'm going to turn things over to Dan, our president of the student government for this year, and he'll go through the agenda with you, and we'll do our question and answer in the second half. Thanks so much, Dan.
All right, so for those of you who are here today, thank you. The student government is very appreciative, and the community is very appreciative. We do have 3 topics that we're going to be covering today. If you do not receive the email, I'm very sorry. But we are covering the university's revised sexual assault policy, where I'll have Debbie Levesque and Lisa Miles come and present. We'll also be reviewing the School of Education and its vision for the next few years, and updates there from Dean Zhao. And then we'll be moving on and talking on the topic of communication throughout the university. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Debbie Levesque and Lisa Miles.
Good afternoon, everyone. A lot of familiar faces in the space, but for those of you who I have not had the opportunity to meet, my name is Lisa Miles, and I am the university's Title IX coordinator and / affirmative action officer. And one of the things that I get to do in that role, among the many things that I get to do in that role, is to be the administrator of the university's sexual assault policy. I only have 5 or 10 minutes, so I'm not going to go deeply into the history of how this all came about, but I will say that the issue of sexual assault is a national discussion, and one that's being held on college campuses all throughout the nation, PACE not being any different. PACE is different, though, in the way that we undertook developing our policy. So we are been noted for our ability to reach out to our students in the way that we designed our sexual assault policy. So the one thing that I want to share with you in our 5 to 10 minutes that I've been given is the fact that we are very appreciative of the very engaged student body that we have here at Pace University. One of the issues that was pertinent in the development of the sexual assault policy was this whole discussion around consent. So much of the policy is built around how do you know when you actually have consent for a sexual activity. What we did from the very beginning, even before the legislation instructed that this is something we were required to do, is that we had conversation with all facets of our university. So we engaged faculty, staff, and particularly students around how do we define sexual assault in our policy. And our students were very engaging in what they thought that should look like. And essentially what we adopted was something that we call the affirmative consent model of consent. And prior to that, historically, what had been known was something called the no means no. So essentially, if you were to ask students what did they think about sexual assault and how one goes about consenting, you would hear often no means no. And essentially what the new legislation says is that we should take a look at whether or not that's the best model. Among other things, among looking at the way that students report allegations of sexual assault, so there was a study undertaken, initiated actually by Barack Obama, who wanted to understand what was being called an epidemic of sexual assault on universities and college campuses. And they found that there was a great deal of underreporting. And you'll hear often that the number is that 1 in 4 college freshmen will be assaulted, particularly during what they're calling the red zone. So the red zone is the time that the semester begins up until around November. But they found that though there was a large number of individuals being sexually assaulted or alleging sexual assault on campuses, that there was an underreporting. And so why is that? The study was really to undertake why is it that students aren't reporting. And there were a number of things that we found. We found, first of all, that students weren't aware of what the reporting process was. And so right from the beginning, PACE made an effort to be sure that the student body was familiar with what that process looked like, and that they could identify the Title IX coordinator, that's me, so they would know who in the institution they should be reporting to. We found that students were concerned about confidentiality, and that we were advised that we had to be clear about who were confidential resources and who were non-confidential resources. And so we had a concerted effort to be sure that that was made clear. We wanted to be sure that there were not only internal resources for our students here at the university, but also external resources. And so we developed partnerships with our external folks in the community who could also service our students if they were to find themselves going through this unfortunate situation. We found out that we needed to do a better job of communicating. And we reached out to our students and we said, tell us how the best way we can reach you. What's the best method for us to be sure that you know what your resources are? And I assumed that the students would say, do it online, tweet it to me, something that had to do with technology. And what our students said is, we want something in our hands. We want something that we can distribute on the college campuses, in our residence halls, or on our buses. They told me about flush flashes. That's the first time I had ever heard that. So, I said, listen, we got to get this stuff in the toilets. Whatever we got to do, right? So our goal was to be responsive because the information that you have was important. So we created a brochure with all of our resources. We created a website, a real student-friendly website. We did the 2-click test to make sure that if you put in sex, sexual assault, sexual harassment, sexual discrimination, anything that had to do with anything about sex, my face and my office and the university's resources would come up immediately. Because what we recognize is important is that you are aware of what the resources are before you actually need them, so that you can make an informed decision about how you move forward in the university should you need to make this type of an allegation and bring it to our institution. And so because I have such limited time, here is what I want you to remember. Remember that your university has been labeled by Lieutenant Governor Hochul, there you are, as a model to imitate. So she has said that PACE is in the forefront of what university policy should look like. So we're very proud of that. We know that as much as administration has a great deal to do with that, it's also because we responded to the needs of our students. And so we want to be sure that you all know that and to say thank you for that. We want to be sure that you know that the resources are available online. We want to be sure that you know that these brochures are being updated. The legislation is continuing to change. We're doing all that we can to stay in front of it. So we are updating our brochure to adapt the new consent policy, the affirmative consent policy that's being required now by the governor and the new Enough is Enough legislation. What's important to realize as well is that we've been told that that new legislation, that new language, was really adopted largely based on PACE's language, because they did know that we were forefront in developing what an affirmative consent policy should look like. So remember who I am, remember my face, remember that I am accessible and very, very cool. It's important that students recognize that I am approachable, that the resources are available, and that we are always open and available and hoping for your engagement as we continue to administer these policies. Thank you.
Shall we take any questions, Steve? If anybody has a question for Lisa or anything?
Can you just repeat your name? Sorry. Lisa Miles.
Yes. Sorry, my name is Lisa Miles, Title IX Coordinator, Affirmative Action Officer, university-wide. I am most reachable at 212-346-1310. Yes, so I have offices on both campuses. Currently on this campus, I'm at Briarcliff in West Hall, and in New York, I'm at 163 William Street.
Just want to ask whether PACE will be taking action when certain things are reported to ensure that the prospective families, parents, feel comfortable and safe, because I have come across some publications where students have been cut to pace, outside, beyond pace, have become despondent because when they report to their universities, they tend to sweep it under the rug, tend to hide it because they want to give a good image for their football team, whatever, extracurricular. So I'm hoping that this doesn't fall into that trap. And whatever is reported, especially to the prospective parents, in an overview, let them feel that PACE takes certain action and their children will be safe.
So yeah, I think that PACE is one of the institutions that's in the forefront of the way that we're handling our sexual assault allegations. So our policies are designed to be sure that we're in early. I've done a lot of training. My training always begins with the first concern is the student's safety. There is a lot in our policy that will allow a student, even who is not going fully through a process, to be protected so that we can offer things like interim measures, no contact orders, we can move individuals from classes. And that's even if the student has decided that they don't want to move forward with an investigation. So we've built things into the policy to ensure that students, one, feel comfortable coming to us and know that we will take whatever action is necessary to keep them safe. And so we do believe that we have not only a great policy, but we've got great people who are really, really concerned about student safety. Many of them are parents themselves or college students, and we've thought that through. And I know that I have 2 students here at PACE, and so my focus primarily is going to be on the student safety here at the university. In policy and in practice, because I think that that's important. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next topic, which is the School of Education.
Thank you. My name is Xiaolei Wang. I'm the acting dean of School of Education. I don't want you to ask me afterwards, what's your name? Xiaolei actually is very difficult. If you look at my name, Xiao-Lei. If I pronounce it like Xiaolei, like a little house, I think you will remember me. Okay? Anyway, so I'm going to give you a very quick update about School of Education. School of Education is currently a stand-alone school, so we are a School of Education, PACE School of Education. And we are actually in the process of celebrating our 50 years anniversary. So we have the history. So next year you're going to hear a lot of activities about School of Education. And currently our faculty and staff at School of Education, we're working very, very hard to come up with some programs that will respond to the market. So for example, our current concrete, very quick strategic plan is that we're going to align all our core courses. So in other words, if you're a student of School of Education, you know we have a lot of core courses. But many of those core courses actually currently are taught differently in different programs. So we're trying to align all those core courses so that students can take like some core courses, not everything. That's one thing. Another thing we're currently doing specifically is about to reduce the program credits so that the students can finish the programs quickly. And finally, our immediate strategic steps is to have multiple certificate programs. So in other words, for example, we come to School of Education for childhood program. In fact, you can go out with multiple certificates. So you have childhood, then you can get TESOL, you add a few courses, you have TESOL, and you can add a few courses, you become certified in educational technology, and so on. So in other words, recently we also come up with some very interesting thing is that without going through the early childhood, you know early childhood now is quite in program. You know this Obama's pre-K, universal pre-K proposal and so on. The Bellagio from New York City, the mayor talked about that. So this is very so-called hot areas. So what we try to do and we come up with a plan is that when you come to our childhood program, in fact, if you just have to take 2 more courses in early years, you in fact can get a certificate. So in other words, come with a childhood degree, then you take 2 more courses to get another certificate. So this is our sort of plan currently. And we are currently really trying to work very hard to respond to the market. At the same time, we also have to address some concerns about the field of education. Obviously, in the last few years, because of the economy, because some other rumors and politics and so on, we see the education seem to be a field that we see fewer applicants. In fact, recently I just came back from a state conference. Nationwide, all the in the United States, except Florida, you see an increase of teacher education applicants. All the other states, actually, we see the issues of the lessening of the teacher education applicants. But more and more, you see this trend will be changed because we see there are 2 indications. The U.S. News and World Report actually predicts that education in the next 7 years will be in the next few years will be one of the top 7 fields that will have jobs. And also we know in the recent New York Times also talked about the teacher shortage. So with that, and I think we're confident that the field of education is going to move forward, and we're going to have more and more applicants. And also recently I had lunch with the New York City Chancellor, Carmen Freeman. Actually, she really appreciated her experience education here at School of Education. And she went through many, many universities. She actually singled out Pace University. She calls at home. So that shows that our faculty here actually really makes impact in people's lives. And recently we met an alum actually last Saturday. Her name's Charles Lin. Charles Lin's father is here. And your son told me. And his aspiration is at least she's going to work for the for the United States Education Department. And she even indicated she might be interested in the President of the United States. And instead, we will encourage those people who come to School of Education and make a difference in the world. So that's the great report about School of Education.
Thank you very much. All right, so for our next topic, we're moving into a very general area, and that is communication. Now, what specifically we're talking about the timeliness, the frequency, and the form of communication, and how we communicate with not just faculty, administration, to students, but with each other. And that goes as far as very important way that has to do with university functions, or just the basic cycle of the university. I'm sure a lot of people are very familiar with the communications that they receive year after year. Well, yes, we're trying to look for ways that we can improve that, because part of our job is making sure, as Student Government Association, is making sure that the entire community is aware. So if anyone has any issues they'd like to bring up or suggestions, now would be the time. Yes, ma'am. Yes, you may.
Sorry about that. I'm just checking my clock because I have to be at the desk. About 2 days ago, I received a request from a faculty for streaming, and one of the titles is Waiting for Superman. And it's about the educational system. And I communicated with the faculty, and she said, wait until you see the inconvenient truth behind Waiting for Superman. So while you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, it's one thing for us to educate the students to become teachers, not just PACE, nationwide. The other thing is, when they have graduated, for them to be placed in a position where the way the system is set up, their back is against the wall, they become frustrated and everything. And when you say this gentleman, professor, daughter, is going to work for the School of Ed, I thought to myself, I said, I hope she had an opportunity to see Waiting for Superman, and also the inconvenient truth behind Waiting for Superman. It's all about the educational system and who are benefiting of who is being harmed children. So I don't know whether you had an opportunity to look at both of these two documentaries.
Yes, in fact, all the school education professors are, I believe most of them have seen this, and we are discussing this in our classroom. Yes, we are. Yeah. So our students should be familiar with that.
Excellent. Any more questions about school education? No? Yes?
I'm asking on behalf of a friend who cannot be here. My friend is in the early childhood program, and she's very confused as to why she must take algebra and advanced math classes when the only math she must know for early childhood is only 109, because she is being bogged down a bit with her class schedule.
So I will let our Director of Student Support, Linda Hannah, answer that question.
Actually, I hope Christine Clayton is here. Is she here? She's the, yeah, Christine is best poised. I think it's a legitimate question. Thank you.
I thought I was going to get the microphone. My name is Christine Clayton, and I coordinate the adolescent and childhood programs. Some of what your friend is probably experiencing is a set of regulations at the state level that have increased the level of expectation for rigor for our teachers. Now, that said, a few years ago we had a certification exam for elementary school age kids in which students could, our students, any student in the state of New York, could fail the math section, but on average, pass the state certification exam and become an elementary school age teacher. That is an issue the state legislature, the Regents Board has been, concerned about. At the same time, major policy has happened from a federal level to increase the expectations for K-12 students in terms of the Common Core. So at the same time that we're raising expectations for K-12 students, the state is enacting policies to raise expectations for the teachers. It is now no longer possible to fail the math portion of the childhood certification exam and still become a teacher in the state of New York. That said, I began a process a couple years ago along with some of my colleagues to work with the math department here, which has been wonderful colleagues in that work, to begin to look at the courses and the sequencing and things. There's still some bumps to work out. I understand that, Linda Hamill has been great in raising the issues for students, and I was away last year on sabbatical. So I'm back to kind of work with Lisa from the math department to look at some of those bumps in the road. But we are dealing with two goals going on: raising the expectations for K-12 students, and in order to meet those expectations, raising the expectations for teachers. And our candidates in school of education are caught in that moment. And we're going to help them as much as we can. I feel confident with my colleagues in the math department. We will do the best we can to help her and others through, because we need great elementary school teachers who concentrate in math. So that is our ultimate goal. We'll have to look at it. But I will just speak as a mother of an elementary school age teacher, students. I am very, very glad that my child will have a teacher that has to pass the exam. That's an important, national mission. Okay?
Thank you. Any more questions about school education? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Pat Willa, and I'm the program director for the Teacher Opportunity Corps in College of School of Education. And what the School of Education sponsors every single year is an event that's called the 5th grade collegiate experience. I know you may have seen some 5th graders traipsing across the campus, and they are over the moon about being on campus. And it's an opportunity as a community engagement project that the university is involved with that. It's 500 5th graders over a period of 5 days. Tomorrow is their last day. And so when you see them coming across campus, please, they are the class of 2027. Each one of them consistently talks about coming to PACE. One of the questions that was asked yesterday, and I'm hoping there was somebody in this room who can answer that question, because I was clear that yesterday I was not smart, third out of fifth grade. How many gallons of water are in the pond? And so if somebody can give me that answer, I would love to actually transport that back to the school.
What's that?
It's 525,615 and a half.
Yes!
But I am 100% hoping that at some point in time that we are able to open this up to the entire university. The relationship between a 1 to 10 or a 1 to 2 is extremely important in impacting the Ossining community of students who want to go to college or have that opportunity to go to college. So when I come to your door, I'm pitching every department, and I hope that you are able to say yes. Thank you.
Anything else on the School of Education? No? All right. So going back to communication, does anybody have anything they'd like to address? Raven?
Hi everyone, my name is Raven Walters. I'm the Vice President of Administration for Student Government. One of my goals this year is really focusing on communication and talking to my advisor, Sean, and like other people in other offices. I think when students, I also should say I wear a lot of different hats on this campus, so I get communication from a lot of different perspectives. I've been a tour guide for 3 years, so when parents come in, they pick up the Pace Chronicle and they're going to ask you the first question on the front page, which usually is very interesting to say, but also being in student government, and I'm sure everyone else on the board can attest that you're expected to know a lot about the processes that go on in the administration side. And I think a lot of the frustration that students get is when a decision is made, they don't know why. And they don't know the back end of why different changes are being made or the reasoning behind that. And I think that a way to better help communicate for us, for student government, to our fellow students and peers, and alleviate some of the frustrations that people have is if we as leaders, or not just our department, but student leaders on this campus and students in general, to understand what the processes behind things as much as we are allowed to or should be given, so we can better explain to students when changes are made. And when we're sitting in Senate saying, these are new parking things, this is new rules in SDCA, these are new things happening on various departments, we can give more background information. I don't know how we can improve that, but I think that's important.
My name is James Best. I'm a sophomore communications major. I just wanted to add on to what you said, like a lot of things about the communication, because when I came to PACE, a big part of like what I loved about it was the community and the extracurricular activities and the spaces that we had to do events and parties. And this year, Wilcox Hall was under construction, and like I didn't really know about it that much. So I don't really know what's going on in Wilcox Hall or what the focus or the plan is, and I think that the communication was a little bit blurred in that. So I just came to this meeting because I want to know what's happening in there, what are the processes, what's going to be happening, and are we going to still have spaces for different organizations, parties, and events.
I'm Zachary Bowman, I'm a sophomore at Trinity. I can actually answer that. I'm the treasurer for the PACE, Peace and Justice. This was part of our budget meeting like last semester. Wilcox Hall is currently being transformed into half of it's going to be a lecture hall, like Leonhard Lecture Hall, and the other half is going to be a smaller multi-purpose room, like the one in Kessel, and the multi-purpose room will be available for spaces. I think that it can estimate to hold about 100 to 150 people, which is typically what the amount of who attended the Wilcox parties back when it used to be a gym. It's scheduled to open in the spring, so clubs and organizations can put in budget requests this semester for parties in the spring, There's actually a form for that. If you're in an organization, talk to your treasurers about this. I think the policy is that there's only supposed to be one Wilcox party per month. So, and I think a couple of the ones have already been taken. So if you're interested in having a Wilcox party next semester for your org, talk to your treasurers about it, but I think the party forms have already passed. Sure.
Exactly what Raven was talking about educating some of our students. But to James' point, we can take that communication so that not just officers, not certain officials know that. The capacity for the Wilcox multi-purpose room is about 371 standing. So that gives you a better idea of the space involved in that multi-purpose room versus ours.
We're having a lot of space. This is right now booking, and can you book on the sun? We've done last semester because people booked and then they were like, so can you book on right now for an event next semester?
As of yesterday at 3 p.m., special events work with me to put in Wilcox multi-purpose room and the Wilcox lecture hall, which we can start booking January 24th onwards.
So you can put it RG5 for Wilcox.
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Ray.
Hi, my name is Christopher Tasso. I'm a senior communication major here at ACE. I'm going to talk about an issue that affects students who live on Briarcliff. Earlier in the year, when we first started school, we had a plus schedule, and the administration did change that very quickly for us. When we didn't sign Briarcliff contracts to actually live on Briarcliff, so I don't know what happened there with the residence hall. But we were told last year that there was going to be a dining option on Briarcliff for those who live on Briarcliff. And then we were reassured by our RD, Vinny, that there was going to be some kind of dining option coming to Briarcliff. As of right now, there's no dining option that's on Briarcliff. I don't know where the communication failed on that part, why there is none. Like, you know, a lot of us were looking forward to that, grabbing bagels, coffee, and things like that before we went to class on Pleasantville. But that's like one issue that directly affected us, and no one has said anything about it. So I just really wanted to bring that up and bring that to your attention. We haven't complained about it like in depth as of right now, but now we're saying something. So what are you guys going to do about that? Because that's something that was told to us. That was something that was like kind of promised to us, and now it's just a broken promise. As we go into the spring semester, what's going to happen?
Hard to address because that's a miscommunication, and I apologize for that. We did let all the residents know there would not be a dining option, but there would be a vending option. And that hasn't happened. That's coming very soon, and it's tied up in.
Can you give us a projected date?
The contracts just went out, so as soon as they're signed, we'll have them. As soon as we get a signed contract on that, we can get them in. But it's only fresh food vending, it's not dining options. So that is a total miscommunication. Yeah, you'll be able to do that. Yes, there'll be fresh salads, bagels, things that you can microwave. Not quite a Miller Hall. It's just it's vending. It's a machine. Fresh food that'll be.
We will be able to use our meal.
Yes, absolutely. That we are going to do that. But I apologize if we got tied up this year in contract negotiations. So as soon as we get it in here, we'll be the first ones to have a new vending on your campus. I promise.
I just want to address to make sure the communication was correct, because it was the vending that we told folks during housing selection. I just want to make sure that was correct. And I'm sorry again that it hasn't happened, because I know Benny's been working too, keeping us in touch and trying to find out what the holdup is. So thank you.
Anything else? Yes.
My name is Beverly Levine. I don't know if I said it. I have a question about security. I live in North Hall, which is by entrance 3, I believe. And the only time I ever see security there is after 11 p.m. on the weekdays until about, I'm assuming 4 or 5 a.m. So during the weekdays, 9 to 5 or 9 to 10, there is no security at entrance 3, period. And when I went on my tour, when I went through orientation, I was told security would be there 24/7. And it is something we joke about, but with recent events and with recent global events that concern my demographic, which would take a long time to go through, so I'm not going to go through that. I want to know why security is not in the booth by entrance 3 24/7 when it is open all the time, when those gates are not closed.
I don't know if anything you see.
Hi, I'm Vincent Beatty, Director of Security. Entrance 3 is manned from 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday, and from 10 o'clock Friday night all the way through Monday morning at 6 a.m. And it's been like that for over 10 years, and nobody's ever said that it was manned on a 24-hour basis.
I'm talking about the entrance by North Hall. I don't know if I said the right place.
It's entrance 3.
So the little booth.
Yeah, there's 3 entrances to base. Entrance 1, 2, and 3, which is 3 is by North Hall, and entrance 3 is the only one that has a guardrail on it. And
So I apologize.
it's past 10 years where we have never had anybody that goes in. The simple fact is that we have entrance 1 and 2 open, and you can come onto campus. It's pretty much an open campus at that point. And the surveys at entrance 3, where nobody was stopping in the booth for any questions or getting temporary passes, things in those lines. So just to use our resources better, we put somebody out of the booth at that point. This is over 10 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine?
Hi, my name is Catherine. I'm a senior major as well as the Vice President for Student Government. I think some of the consensus on campus from students is that students aren't feeling safe for whatever reason. I know we have the blue light system. I know we also when we need them. I think to address her question as well, not having somebody in that booth 24/7 is not helping students with the feeling of feeling safe on campus. So I wonder what measures we're taking currently to ensure that our students are feeling safe and that we have people to go to. I know there's 24/7 security in Alumni Hall, but are there any other ways that we're ensuring that our students are feeling safe so that way they can address their concerns if we do have concerns?
Well, there are multiple things that we do to provide security on campus. The first thing we do is there is several mobile patrol units marked in the security vehicles. We have foot posts that walk the perimeter of the campus, meaning Kessel, the library, and New Alumni Hall. When Building B comes online for next year, we'll bring down additional security people to walk on the middle of the campus to make sure there's a high visibility of security personnel. We have access control on all of our residence halls. North, Martin, Alumni Hall. They also have cameras on all of the residence halls on campus. We also have, you mentioned, code blue phones throughout the campus. And we also have a 24-hour escort service. I know Dean Lisa doesn't like that name. But you have to figure something else out.
Why? I don't like that name.
We have a safe ride program, whatever you would like to call it. We will provide an escort between any 2 points on campus with the security which is called 773-3400. We have the Mount Pleasant Police actually patrol our campus as well. And they do it on a daily basis. We see them all the time on campus. We have a fast response time, not only from my department, but also from the Mount Pleasant Police.
What would you say your response times when people call?
5 to 7 minutes, I would say, at the tops. And we have a low incidence rate on campus of the actual things that are occurring on campus. We work with residential life. As far as on the weekends, we put extra security up by the townhouses. Whenever we have issues, when there's a large group of people coming on, we provide extra security like we did this weekend for homecoming. We have guards in all the residence halls of this campus as well. We do lighting surveys on a weekly basis to make sure the lighting's on campus. There are some issues that we know about that are being addressed with facilities as far as dark areas because of down poles, electrical issues, that type of stuff that are being addressed. We do decals on campus, so we know who's coming and going on campus. At the entrance 3, there's a camera, there's a license plate reader that actually records all the license plates that come onto campus. And there's also another camera that takes video of everybody coming and going off the campus, whether it's in a vehicle or walking. We have a low incidence rate on campus. We have a great crime statistics as far as Department of Education. And also the security on campus is great as far as I'm concerned. If there's issues, people need to address it with us as to what actually their issues are, and we will certainly look into it or give them a better response or a more a response to their exact question. Hold on 1 second.
When security was first moved at Goldstein, I was very concerned, especially since I get into the office way before most people got out of bed. And I had told my staff and my faculty to make sure you put security's number in your cell phone. I've had the opportunity to use it twice, and you asked about the response time. Within 2 minutes, there was somebody over at Goldstein. I got to work one day at 6:15, and they said the building would be open at 6. It wasn't. They were there in 2 seconds. I just called that number, and it worked. I was stuck in my car last week when I was supposed to open a classroom at 7:30. I just pulled out my cell phone, called security, and that classroom was open. So Vinny, thank you to you and your staff. You've been wonderful in this transition.
Thank you.
You can go first. Okay. So, do you want to go? You go first.
Yeah, my question is brief. This is the first time that I'm really hearing about the escort services and the other options that you spoke about.
We're talking about the same thing.
Yes. What's being done to make sure that, that students know that they have these options available?
They're available. We talk about it during orientations.
Mm-hmm.
It's on our website. It's available. It's out there. It's used extensively.
Okay.
I think just a comment, I think it's like a lot based on me, like my roommate's on crutches when somebody that close the townhouses, so security really block their path every day. If you put them off, I think it's also based on the meeting. If you're hurt or something.
This goes back to the whole communication thing. I know I'm a senior.
Megan, sorry to interrupt. We all please use mics. It's hard to get across the room to hear folks.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Megan. I'm the Vice President of Program for SGA. And I think this just goes back to the whole communication thing. I'm a senior. I didn't know about the license plate reader or the camera thing, so I don't know if there's any possible way we could even just send out an email at the beginning of the semester, just reminding students about these services, because sometimes we get caught up in the scheme of everything. We don't necessarily remember it, because I don't want teams to go to your office that aren't necessarily valid or true when there are these services that are offered to students. So I don't know if there's maybe some way we can just communicate to the community as a whole to let them know about these services. Maybe not even every semester, but at the beginning of every year. I don't know if that would be possible.
Thanks. I'm Bill McGrath, Senior Vice President for Administration. I want to answer that question with a question. It's really a challenge for us to know how to best communicate with students, because we have a pretty low response rate with emails, websites don't seem to get visited. We have a text message for emergencies, but we really want to restrict that to emergencies so that people don't become numb to that and decide ignoring it or get themselves off of it. So I would pose this to the students. What do you think is the best way for the administration to communicate these kinds of things to the students?
It should be a combination of emails at the beginning of every year. It should be a combination of emails at the beginning of every year, and when students like SGA, who are most of the time part of other groups, they should reiterate their clubs, because a lot of students are not just classy home or classy dorm. A lot of us are part of clubs, so to have us reiterate our clubs and spread in our communities would be the fastest way.
So let me ask the students here by a show of hands to tell me how many of you open emails from the university. Well, that's more than the usual average.
So like, okay, emails are great, and I know we get them, but I think students are here, our select group of students who care about school, so I wouldn't use this to base your thing. In my opinion, from being a senior here at Pace, how I hear news is from my peers. So students to students, it's on students to open your ears and eyes to the news, but it's on us. Like, we're SGA, we touch a lot of the student body. We're meant to serve the entire student body. So if we relay something at Senate, like when we relay the parking updates and when we relay things about Wilcox, like you found out about it because you go to BAC meetings, but only 25 people go to BAC meetings and 25 people go to Senate. So it's on our students, like the senators, for you guys tell your organizations, and the students who aren't as involved, they need to read the emails. But there's only Okay, so I'm back. Sorry, guys. As administration, there are so many clubs on this campus. As administration, you guys have to find out, what clubs reach the most students. As you were saying, people were saying send out emails. I noticed that at Common Hour, so many students are walking past. Chartwell's always does things where they give out free food, they have cupcakes, and those are great live attraction. So I know security, you guys, Pace University has these little cards of emergency numbers you need to know, and I have that in my wallet. Not many students have that in their wallet. One initiative you guys can take for the next semester, next years, is partner with Chartwell's when they're doing their cupcakes, their chocolate fondue, and give those cards out. Every time someone receives a cupcake, they receive a card to put in their wallet. So they know about these things, they can keep it on them all the time. I just had an event called Know Your Rights about police brutality when you're stopped by the police. And at my event, over 40 people came out and I handed out these cards about what to do when you're stopped by police. That reached 40 kids who came out to that event. So I would say partner with student organizations that reach a lot of people, partner with the presidents, we can hold events, we can table during Common Hour. There are so many organizations on this campus that we need to be working together all the time, not just once in a while, all the time to reach the whole Pace community. And I have to go.
This is a response to Crystal's suggestion. So when students give us suggestions, whether it's to other students or faculty or to staff, we sometimes have to take the extra step as well. And so for Crystal to have put that out to the room, it immediately made me think, well, how am I going to get events to a Dean Braun, to a Bill McGrath, to a Dean Wong? And so I'm thinking we can take the extra step in student affairs and send out event calendars, just a simple Excel spreadsheet, because that would give you ideas of the topics that are happening on campus. So if you don't know that an event on police brutality or that kind of topic that Crystal was talking about, how are you going to know then that security for Vinny to say, maybe I might want to send an officer there, maybe I want to give out a giveaway, but if we don't do our job from my area to properly communicate that, then an idea like that, which is brilliant from a student, is going to go unused. So I am, as an accountability measure, putting that out to the room. That's something that we should do.
Okay, yeah, also I think that her card in the sense of like contact emergency things, having residents when they move in get that, like that'd be really helpful. But I want to bring it back to response time. I learned that response times, it depends on who's calling, because I know last year as a freshman, if I ever called security for something, the response time would be like a half hour sometimes. Whereas now when I call, it's quicker. But that doesn't mean that when freshmen call now, because I know freshmen when they call, they don't come as fast. And it kind of depends on who's calling security sometimes based on response times. Ray, do you want to say something?
I don't think who's calling is like what you're calling for.
Yeah.
And also when you're calling for your
But I think it has to do, I mean, the tone of voice of the students and stuff, I think that has to do with like, because I know when I'm on the phone, I'm really assertive, like I need someone here immediately, but not every student's like that, but I think that shouldn't be an excuse. Like I still think when someone calls security and they need them, that response time should still be.
sometimes security will tell you like, listen, we have two lights on.
No, I know, I mean, I've called before.
Yeah, or they'll like, is this, they'll prioritize it. But I also think that people call security and like don't know what to tell them sometimes. They're like, I need help, but they don't know what, so maybe that's better. Like in telling residents how to use it or use your RA better.
Yeah, it's an issue that I think should be brought up though.
Yeah.
First off, if any call that comes into, whether it's a dispatch, 24-hour dispatch, the 773-3400 number, there's no way for them to tell if you're a freshman, sophomore. They have a listing, but it's not listed as freshman. So we brought up one thing it could be what to call the services for, which really should matter. But the second thing is if there's something else going on campus. A lot of people realize that we do medical escorts off campus, so the security vehicle is actually off campus. They're patrolling, they could be up in the townhouses, something happens over in Dyson, so you got to come across campus. Now our traffic pattern has changed. So don't ever think that because you're a freshman, sophomore, whatever, commuter versus a resident student, that has no bearing on it whatsoever. Just the simple fact is they don't know the difference.
I meant it more as like, because I'm a sophomore, like I frequently have called security that I think they know my voice. I mean, I have a really distinct voice, so they know what I'm doing.
Frequency will get you more response.
But I don't think that I should get priority because I call a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Something to also keep in mind is that there are a lot more students than there are security guards. So the students have to keep
No, security does well to communicate their availability.
Just sometimes they have so much going on with so many students that there's, only so many hands that they have on deck.
How many security guards do we have total here?
What's the question was about how many security are staffed,
Staffing at this point, we have 4 security officers on campus during the day, plus a dispatcher, and then we have an additional guard at night, like I mentioned, from 10 at night to 6 in the morning.
Okay.
Out of the gate.
So a lot more students than there are security guards.
Okay, so hi, my name is Adina. I'm a sophomore, digital filmmaking major. And I think that, like, I was going back to what Crystal said before she left about tabling, like, if security had cupcakes and make themselves visible on campus. And I think that that's what I wanted to stress is, like, just suggest that faculty make themselves visible on campus because, like, if I didn't join SVA as a senator, I wouldn't know about this community meeting. I wouldn't know about who was head of security and who was from auxiliary services. All these things are important that affect me as a student, but I don't know who to contact. You don't know. It is an issue with communication, but I think it's also an issue of staff not making themselves present, and so you don't really know who they are past orientation. That they say a few things at orientation. They're like, "Hi." They talk to the incoming freshmen, but then you don't see them again unless they join an organization. I think it's all of these departments that affect us, not only security but also auxiliary services. All the other sort of resources that we have on campus should make themselves as visible as possible, like contact messages
like through events like this.
It's so funny because,
I had to print out some very important.
I know, they're completely, wow. I was like, I'm so done. I know. But it's funny.
You're right, Dave, there's so much.
Yeah, you can hardly bend it. Yeah.
There was Miles Raymond.
Hi, folks. Hi.
How'd you like that email?
Oh, that was great.
I'm talking about the message before we opened the email. Yeah. Wait, no wonder you never responded. No, here, I'll pull it.
Slug broadcast date, time, name.
What?
I'm gonna do something, James.
I wasn't. I was doing it.
It's and then over. You free Mr. Cover.
Oh, okay. Well, what's it about?
Really? You know people too.
I saw Denise was there.
Yeah.
Did she say hi, at least?
She looked at me. She smirked.
Oh, okay. You know what she was really saying in her mind, right?
Yeah, because they were talking about how security is great, and we both looked at each other, and she goes like, I shit you not, that happened.